I should have said no. That was my first thought when I stood in front of dorm room 3B, clutching a too heavy suitcase and trying not to let my hands shake. A new school, a new room, a new roommate, and not just any roommate. Rin Takahashi. I hadn't seen him since middle school, since he transferred out mid-year without a word. Back then, I'd been just the quiet kid who always watched him from behind library bookshelves or across the soccer field, heart hammering whenever he smiled. I thought I'd gotten over it. But the moment the dorm door creaked open and I saw him again, barefoot, messy-haired, a towel slung over his shoulder, blinking like he hadn't slept in days, I knew I hadn't. "You're late," he said, eyeing my suitcase. "I missed the first train," I mumbled, already nervous. He stepped aside, letting me in without another word. The room smelled like peppermint and laundry detergent, clean but lived in. One side was clearly his, perfectly folded clothes, plants on the windowsill, a black guitar leaning against the wall. The other side was empty. I hesitated near the bed. "So, where should I?" He glanced at me, then at the floor. "Yeah, about that. There's only one bed." I blinked. "What?" "The room's small. They only put one in. The school's messed up. You can take it, I don't care." I looked at the bed. It wasn't small. It was worse, it was a queen. Big enough for two. My cheeks warmed instantly. "I'll sleep on the floor." Rin raised an eyebrow. "No, you won't." "I will. It's fine. I've slept on worse." He leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "You'll catch a cold. Or worse. The floor creaks. You'll wake me up every time you move. Just sleep in the bed." My eyes widened. "With you." "For safety," he said, deadpan. "Dorm ghost. Haven't you heard?" I stared. He smirked. "Relax. I don't bite. Unless you snore. Then I might smother you with a pillow." Very reassuring. I ended up sleeping in the bed. Correction, I tried to sleep. I lay stiffly on the edge, heart racing, trying not to breathe too loudly. Ren was on the other side, already under the covers, back turned. The gap between us might as well have been the Pacific Ocean. After 30 minutes, he shifted. Then again. Then, his arm flopped across my waist. I froze. His face was near mine now, soft in sleep, hair falling across his forehead. And then, "Kay," he whispered. My heart dropped. Not my name. His fingers twitched against my hoodie, and I realized he was dreaming. I held my breath, afraid to move. Who was Kay? A friend? An ex? A boyfriend? The next morning, I woke up with his legs tangled around mine, and his hands still curled against my shirt like I might disappear. I didn't say anything. He didn't either. But from that moment on, every night it was the same thing. Same bed, same silence, same arm sliding around me halfway through the night like it belonged there. It was weird. And worse, I kind of liked it. The second week, I tried sleeping on the floor again. I even made a little nest of blankets. At 2 a.m., he woke up, dragged the blanket off me, and stared. "Are you stupid?" he said. "I just thought. It's freezing. You'll die." "That's dramatic." "So am I." "Get back in bed." He didn't move until I did. I crawled under the blanket, grumbling, and he turned his back to me dramatically. "I'm only doing this for your safety." "Sure," I muttered. "Safety from the cold? Or the dorm ghost?" He didn't answer, but I swear I heard him laugh. School was chaotic. Everyone seemed to know Rin. Girls from the sister campus wrote him love notes. Guys either admired him or avoided him. Some whispered when they saw us together. And more than once someone warned me. "Don't get too close," one guy muttered near the vending machine. "Ren's not what he seems." "Yeah," another said. His last roommate transferred out in 2 weeks. Said he couldn't sleep. Why? No one knows. Just be careful. I tried asking Ren about it once. He looked up from his textbook and said, "People like rumors. It makes them feel interesting." "Is it true?" He shrugged. "Does it matter?" I dropped it, but I started noticing things. how he always checked the locks twice, how he never let me leave the window open at night, how he kept glancing at my side of the bed, like checking if I was still breathing. One night, I woke up and saw him sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. "Ren?" I whispered. He didn't move. I reached out. "Hey, are you okay?" He turned slowly. His eyes looked lost. "You were gone," he said softly. "I'm right here." He blinked. "Yeah, right." Then he lay back down and pulled the blanket up like nothing happened. Despite all of it, we got close, sort of. He taught me how to use the laundry machine without flooding the hallway. I taught him how to cook cup ramen without burning the noodles. He kept stealing my socks. I kept borrowing his hoodie. He was annoyingly attractive in the mornings. Messy hair, sleepy voice, always stealing my side of the bed. I started pretending to be annoyed when he accidentally touched my hand. He started pretending not to notice when I stared too long. It was like a game. One we didn't name. One we didn't stop. Until the day I found the drawer. I wasn't trying to snoop. I dropped a pen and it rolled under his bed. While reaching for it, I noticed a small drawer. Locked. I tried the handle. Didn't budge. That night, when he came back from practice, he noticed I was quiet. "You look guilty," he said. I dropped my pen. "Okay. Under your bed." He paused. I didn't look at him. "There's a drawer. What's in it?" Silence. Then, "Nothing you need to see." "Why's it locked?" He turned away, jaw tense. "Because I locked it. I should have let it go." But at 2 a.m., curiosity won. I waited until I heard him breathing softly, then carefully slipped out of bed. Used a bobby pin. "Thank you, YouTube." Clicked open. Inside was a single photo. Ren. With another boy. Black hair, sharp smile, arm around Ren's shoulders. There was something written on the back, smudged by time. Couldn't read it. But what chilled me wasn't the words. It was the red stain on the corner. Like dried blood. A floorboard creaked behind me. I turned. Ren stood in the doorway, backlit by moonlight, eyes dark. "You looked where you shouldn't have," he said quietly. I held the photo like it burned. "I'm sorry." He took a step forward. "Go back to bed." "Ren. Now." I went. He didn't follow for a long time. And when he did, he didn't speak. But I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared of him, but because I finally realized there was a part of Ren I didn't know at all. And maybe I wanted to know everything. Even the dangerous parts. Ren didn't talk to me the next morning. Not a glare. Not a word. Just silence, thick and heavy like rain clouds right before a storm. He got dressed, tossed his gym bag over his shoulder, and left with nothing but the soft slam of the door. I sat on the edge of the bed, still holding the image of that photo in my mind. That boy beside Ren. His smile was sharp and bright, but his eyes were unreadable. They looked familiar, not because I'd seen him before, but because there was something in them. A feeling I knew too well. Something like falling. I hadn't meant to invade his privacy. But something about that photo, the lock, the whisper in his sleep, the way he checked on me every night. It all felt tangled, like puzzle pieces that didn't quite fit. When Rin came back in the evening, he dropped his bag, walked past me, then turned sharply. "New rule," he said without looking up. "No touching my stuff. Ever." I swallowed. "Okay." He kicked off his shoes. "Second rule. You sleep in the bed. No more floor stunts." "But..." "For safety," he said again. But this time his voice was flatter, like he didn't mean it anymore. I nodded. "And the last rule," he muttered, tugging his hoodie off. "Don't ask about the past. Mine or yours." "Why mine?" His gaze flicked to me finally. "Because if you ask me things, I'll ask you things. And I don't think you want that." I didn't have a reply. Instead, I stood there awkwardly while he turned the TV on and sat cross-legged on the bed like nothing had happened. And then, just as casually, he patted the spot beside him. "Come watch," he said. "You owe me for breaking into my drawer." It wasn't forgiveness, but maybe it was close enough. We watched a dumb cooking show, and Ren kept mocking the contestants, doing dramatic voiceovers in a British accent. I tried not to laugh. Failed. He threw a pillow at me. I threw it back. We didn't talk about the photo. But that night, as we lay in the dark, I turned to him just slightly. "Who's Kay?" His breath hitched for half a second. "You broke Rule 3. I just wanted to know if he's the one in the photo." A long pause. Then, in a voice so soft it almost didn't reach me, he said, "No, that's not Kay." I waited for more, but it never came. Instead, he whispered, "Good night, Yuki." And for the first time in days, I slept before he did. The next day at school, people stared more than usual. Tomo, Ren's best friend, grumpy, sharp-tongued, always half asleep in math class, cornered me during lunch. "You're still alive," he said, like it was shocking. I blinked. Yeah. He looked me up and down like he was checking for bite marks. "He's never shared his bed with anyone, not even me, and I've known him since we were 6. "It's not like that," I said quickly. Tomo raised an eyebrow. "Isn't it? It's just because of the dorm ghost." Tomo actually laughed. "He used that line on you too?" I froze. "Wait, he's lying?" "Oh no, the ghost's real. But it only bothers people who leave their laundry in the washer too long." I wanted to sink into the ground. Tomo leaned closer. "Listen, Ren's complicated. Messed up in ways he doesn't talk about. If you're gonna stay close, be ready for all of it. Not just the pretty parts." I looked down at my sandwich. "I'm already in," I said before I could stop myself. He smiled like he knew something I didn't. "Then don't break his heart. He won't show it, but he'll feel it." That night, I was determined to act normal. I flopped dramatically onto the bed after brushing my teeth, pretending to take up the whole thing. "No room for you," I declared, spreading my arms like a starfish. Ren stared, towel still on his head. "You're literally half my size. Doesn't mean I can't defend my territory." He smirked. "You want to start a war?" I nodded, serious. "This bed isn't big enough for 2 kings." He yanked the blanket. I shrieked. It became a full-blown wrestling match. He pinned me down with one arm while I flailed like a noodle, both of us laughing like we were kids again. When he finally let go, we lay there, out of breath, our shoulders brushing. "You're not scared of me?" he asked suddenly. I turned my head. "Should I be? People usually are." "I'm not people." He looked at me, and for a second, something unspoken passed between us. "Good," he said. 2 days later, I found out he talks in his sleep. Like a lot. Sometimes it's mumbling, other times it's weird dreams. Once, he muttered something about mayonnaise being evil. Another time he called me Princess Starfish, which I have not let him forget. But then, one night, he said something different. "I couldn't save him," he whispered, almost crying. I reached out without thinking, touching his wrist. "Ren?" His eyes fluttered open, unfocused, then suddenly wide. He jerked away like I burned him. "Don't," he said sharply. "Don't touch me when I'm asleep." I nodded, heart thudding. "Sorry. You were having a nightmare." "I always do." He sat up, facing the window. Moonlight cut across his profile, beautiful and broken. "Ren, what happened with him?" I asked softly. His shoulders tensed. "Rule 3, remember? I just want to understand." "You don't need to." "But I want to." He turned. "Why?" I didn't have an answer that wouldn't make me sound hopelessly gone for him. So I just said, "Because you let me sleep beside you. That means something, right?" His eyes flicked down, then back up. "Maybe," he said, then added, almost too quiet to hear, "I'm just trying not to lose another person." Before I could reply, he got back under the blanket, facing away again. And somehow, even in silence, I felt closer to him than I ever had before. At school the next week, something changed. Ren walked beside me more. He started calling me out in class for dozing off, but with a smile. He told someone to back off when they bumped into me in the hallway. He even handed me his extra umbrella when it started raining after PE. "You'll catch a cold," he said. "What about you?" "I like the rain," he said, turning up his hoodie. Liar. He hated getting his hair wet, but he walked off anyway. That night, I waited for him in bed, pretending to be asleep. When he came in, dripping wet, he didn't make a sound. Just slipped under the blanket carefully, like trying not to wake me. I felt his fingers graze mine under the covers. Not accidental this time. I squeezed his hand. And this time he didn't let go. Our room had started to feel like a world of its own. A place outside of school, rumors, and whatever haunted Ren's past. A strange world where I woke up with his head against my shoulder one morning, and instead of freaking out, I just stayed still and memorized how soft his hair was. Things were calmer between us. No weird rules. No yelling. But the silence wasn't gone. It had only changed. It had turned into this soft thing. Quiet laughs during late-night cup ramen, the sound of his pencil tapping while I did homework, or the way he'd hum songs when he thought I was asleep. And yet, every time I tried to ask about the boy in the photo or even Kay, he shut down. Not angry, just gone. Like a switch flipped and the walls went up. So I stopped asking. Mostly. Run started doing this thing where he'd toss random questions at me while we were lying in bed, staring at the ceiling like it held the answers to the universe. "What would you do if you weren't here?" he asked one night, voice low. I blinked. "You mean like, if I didn't transfer?" "Yeah." I rolled onto my side to look at him. Probably still be invisible at my old school. He glanced at me. "You're not invisible here. You say that like you see me." He smirked. "I do." I didn't sleep for hours after that. It was a Friday when the first real crack showed. We were in class when Ren was called out to the office. He didn't say much, just shrugged, stood up, and left. But when he came back, his entire expression had changed. That casual confidence was gone. He looked pale, like someone had turned off his light from the inside. After class, I followed him back to the dorm. He didn't wait for me like usual, just went straight to the room and slammed the door behind him. I hesitated, then opened it. He was sitting on the floor beside the bed, head leaning back against the wall. "Ren, they're opening the old dorm building again," he said suddenly. "Starting next week. Room 4C. I didn't get it at first. Okay?" That was my old room. Mine and his. I froze. He didn't say the name. He never did. He looked up at me, eyes tired. "The school says it's been long enough. They're renovating it, moving people in. Like it's just another room." "I'm sorry." He laughed, but it was humorless. What does sorry even mean? It doesn't bring people back. I sat beside him, close but not touching. "You never told me what happened." "I can't." "Why?" He looked at me, and for the first time he looked scared. "Because if I say it out loud, it'll feel real again." I didn't push. We sat there, side by side on the floor, the clock ticking loud in the silence. Then, so softly I almost didn't hear him, he said, "I woke up and he was gone." My chest tightened. "They said it was an accident," he continued, "that he probably slipped, hit his head, drowned. But I know he wasn't okay before. He stopped sleeping. He started saying weird things. I should have seen it coming. Ren, it's not your fault." He didn't answer. That night he didn't touch me, didn't roll over in his sleep. The distance between us felt like a canyon. I hated it. The next morning, I brought him coffee from the vending machine. He took it without a word but sipped it slowly. "You look like a kicked puppy," he muttered. "You look like a grumpy cat." He snorted. "Takes one to know one." I nudged his shoulder. "Let's do something dumb." "Like what?" "I don't know. Build a pillow fort? Pretend we're 5. Tempting. We actually did it. Piled up all the pillows and blankets and crawled inside, facing each other with flashlights and snacks like we were at a sleepover. Ren looked more relaxed than he had in days. "You're weird," he said. "You share a bed with me every night." "Touché." We laughed, and it felt normal again, until I reached into the snack bag and pulled out his phone by accident. The screen lit up. A message preview. Unknown number. K was my brother. "I want to talk." I stared at it. My hand froze. Ren noticed. His eyes darkened. Give me that. Ren. Give it. I handed it over. He read the message, locked the phone, and tossed it aside. He didn't speak for a long time. Finally, he looked up at me. It's starting again. What is? The past. And just like that, our tiny safe world felt smaller. Later that night, I caught him standing at the window. He didn't know I was watching. His reflection looked tired, even in the moonlight. I walked up behind him. You don't have to do it alone, you know? He didn't turn around. I'm not used to people staying. Well, I'm not people. He glanced at me over his shoulder. No, he said softly. You're not. We stood there for a while, side by side. No words, just quiet understanding. When we finally climbed into bed, I thought he'd roll away again. But instead, he reached over and pulled me close, closer than ever. His voice was barely audible. Thanks for not running. I didn't say anything. I just tucked my head into his chest and held on. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But tonight, I wasn't letting go. Rain had a way of making everything feel heavier. It had been pouring since morning. The kind of endless, soaking rain that made even the air feel like it was holding its breath. By the time classes ended, I was already soaked from running across the courtyard. My socks squished in my shoes. My umbrella had flipped inside out. And to make it worse, I found our dorm room locked. I knocked once, then again. No answer. Ren? I called, already dripping. Still nothing. Just when I was about to give up and go camp out in the hallway like a lost puppy, the door cracked open. Ren stood there, towel around his neck, hair damp, a far-off look in his eyes. You okay? I asked, stepping in. He didn't answer, just turned and walked back to his desk. Dropping into the chair like gravity hit him harder than it should have. Did something happen? He shrugged. I'm fine. He wasn't. I could tell. The room felt colder than usual, and not because of the weather. He hadn't even turned on the heater. I took off my soaked hoodie and started drying my hair with the extra towel on the bed. You skipped class. I had a headache, he said. You hate missing classes. Guess I'm full of surprises. His tone wasn't sharp, but it wasn't soft either. I watched him, his shoulders hunched slightly, his fingers tapping a rhythm against the desk. Something he only did when he was trying to distract himself from overthinking. Is this about the message? I asked gently. He froze. Kay's brother messaged you again. Didn't he? Ren stood up so fast the chair scraped back. Why do you always have to know everything? I blinked. I'm not trying to. You always ask. Always look at me like I'm some broken thing you need to fix. That's not what I'm doing. Then what are you doing here, Yuki? He asked, voice rising. Why do you stay? Why do you keep sleeping next to someone who can't even close his eyes without dreaming about a dead boy? That one hit like a punch. I don't want to fix you, Ren, I said quietly. I just want you to stop pretending you're fine when you're clearly falling apart. He looked at me then, really looked. A sharp, searching, hurt. And then he said something I didn't expect. Maybe I don't want you to stay. The room went silent. Even the rain outside seemed to pause. Do you mean that? I asked, throat tight. He didn't answer. That was worse than a yes. I grabbed my bag. Fine. If you want space, take it. I walked out before he could say anything else. The hallway lights flickered above me. Everything felt too loud. My footsteps, the rain on the windows, my own breathing. I ended up in the library. It was warm and quiet. The lights dimmed for evening. I curled up in the corner with a blanket someone had left behind. Still wearing my wet socks, phone buzzing with unread messages. I didn't open them. Not until the next morning, when I woke up to a stiff neck and 20 missed calls. All from Rin. When I returned to the dorm, the door was unlocked. Inside, it looked like a storm had passed through. Drawers open, papers on the floor, the desk chair knocked over. But the worst part? Ren wasn't there. His phone was on the bed. So was my hoodie. And on the nightstand was a sticky note, in his messy handwriting. I'm sorry. I just needed to clear my head. Don't go anywhere. I stared at it for a full minute before grabbing my shoes and running. I didn't even know where I was going until my legs took me to the rooftop. And there he was, Ren, standing at the edge, wind tugging at his hoodie, rain drizzling softly now like the sky had calmed down. He turned when he heard me. "You came back," he said. "Obviously." He looked down like he didn't deserve it. I said, "Too much." "You always do." That made him smile. Just a little. I walked closer, keeping my eyes on him. "I'm not going anywhere, Ren. Even if you yell. Even if you act like an idiot. Even if you keep dragging around your past like a backpack full of bricks." He glanced at me. "That's dramatic." "I learned from the best." This time, the smile lasted longer. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to let someone stay. You don't have to know everything." I stepped beside him, close enough to feel the chill of his skin. "You just have to try." Ren didn't say anything, but his hand found mine, and for the first time in days we stood still. No drama, no ghosts, just us. That night he let me hold him. No jokes, no teasing. He curled into me like he was afraid I'd vanish, fingers twisted in my shirt like anchors. "You're the first person I've let this close," he whispered. "Then you better get used to it." He buried his face in my chest and mumbled, "Greedy. You like it." And the truth? He did. He just didn't know how to say it yet. When I walked into the dorm room Monday morning, someone else was already inside. He was leaning against my desk like he owned the place, twirling a pencil between his fingers and humming a tune I vaguely recognized. His uniform was too crisp, his hair too perfect, like he'd stepped out of a drama set. He looked up when I froze in the doorway and grinned like he'd been waiting hours just to annoy me. "Yuki." My stomach dropped. "Kazuki?" "Surprise," he said, holding out his arms. "Miss me?" Of all the people I expected to see again, my childhood friend ranked at the bottom of the list. I hadn't seen him since middle school, since the day he moved away without saying goodbye. And now he was in my dorm, acting like no time had passed. "What are you doing here?" I asked, still stunned. "I transferred in this morning. And guess what?" He gestured around the room with an exaggerated flourish. "They put me here." I blinked. "In this room." He nodded, then tilted his head toward the bed. "Bunking up with you and your very tall, very silent roommate. Speaking of, where is he?" Before I could answer, the door swung open behind me. Run stepped in, hoodie half-zipped, earbuds dangling from his neck. He froze the second he saw Kazuki. Kazuki straightened. "You must be Ren." Ren's expression didn't change. "And you are." "I'm Kazuki. Childhood bestie," he said, flashing a grin. "New third wheel." Ren looked at me. I looked at the floor. The tension in the room could have sliced the air in half. And Kazuki, of course, was loving every second of it. By evening, the room felt too small. Kazuki had already claimed the desk chair, scattered his books across my side of the floor, and was now flipping through my manga with casual arrogance. "You're still into these?" he asked, smirking. "I thought you'd have outgrown them." "I like them," I muttered. Run was lying on the bed, reading, but I could feel his eyes flicking toward us every few minutes. Kazuki leaned closer. "You know, I thought you'd be different by now. And I thought you'd stop being a jerk by now," I said sweetly. He chuckled. "There he is. I missed that spark." Ren slammed his book shut. "You two should go flirt somewhere else." I turned bright red. "We're not flirting." Kazuki leaned back. "A little competition never hurt anyone." Ren sat up slowly. "You're not competition." Kazuki raised an eyebrow. "You sure? You looked pretty rattled earlier." "I'm just annoyed that someone like you thinks he can show up and take over." I jumped in. "Okay. Maybe we don't turn this into a territorial match over who gets to mock me first." But it was too late. The air was already buzzing. That night, Kazuki sprawled across the floor on a sleeping bag like he belonged here. Run and I climbed into bed, and for the first time in weeks there was a gap between us. Neither of us said anything, but the silence felt different now, sharper, uneasy. The next day at school, Kazuki stuck to my side like glue. He joined me for lunch, poked at my tray like it was a science experiment, and even walked me to class. Ren doesn't talk much, does he? Kazuki asked. He does. Just not to people he doesn't trust. Kazuki hummed. And you trust him? I hesitated. Yeah, I do. He looked at me then, really looked. Even after what happened? I froze. You know? He nodded slowly. I heard rumors, and I asked around. Kei was my brother. The world tilted. What? Kazuki shoved his hands in his pockets. We didn't share a last name, so no one connected us. But yeah, he was my half-brother. Couldn't breathe. I didn't come here just to reconnect with you, Yuki, he said softly. I came to find out what happened to him, and why Run was the last person to see him alive. That night I didn't sleep. I lay in bed beside Ren, who seemed calmer than I was, one arm tossed lazily behind his head like he had no idea the ground was crumbling under us. I need to ask you something, I whispered. He turned his head toward me, barely visible in the dim light. Yeah. Did you know Kazuki and Kei were related? His expression didn't change. Yeah. For how long? A while. You didn't tell me. You didn't ask. I stared at him, heart pounding. Is that why you're acting like nothing matters now? Because you already knew this would blow up? He turned on his side to face me. No. I'm acting like this because I've already lost someone once. I don't plan on doing it again. His hand reached out, resting over mine beneath the blanket. You trust me, right? I want to, I whispered. Then believe me when I say I never meant for Kei to die. I looked at him, really looked, and for the first time, I saw something in his eyes that wasn't anger or coldness or teasing. I saw guilt and pain, and something else too, something softer. Hope. The next morning, Kazuki caught me outside the dorm. We need to talk, he said, holding out an old letter. Kei wrote this before he died. I think it's time you read it. My fingers trembled as I took it. Inside the envelope was a short note. If I go through with this, it's not Ren's fault. Don't let anyone blame him. He tried. He really tried. But some pain isn't fixable. My knees almost gave out. Kazuki caught me. I wanted to hate him. I came here planning to. But after reading that, I don't know what to feel. He loved him, I whispered. And now he's trying to move on. Kazuki looked at me for a long second. Are you going to help him do that? I nodded. Yes, I'm going to stay. Ren was already awake when I got back to the dorm. He was sitting at the edge of the bed, one sock on, the other dangling from his hand like he'd forgotten what he was doing. His gaze met mine the second I stepped inside. I could tell by the way his shoulders stiffened that he knew. You saw the letter, he said quietly. I nodded. Kazuki showed me. Silence stretched between us, not awkward but heavy, like both of us were standing on opposite sides of something we couldn't quite name. He let out a breath. I tried to stop him. I didn't see it coming until it was too late. I thought I was helping. Thought just being there would be enough. I stepped closer. You did more than most would have. Ren's voice wavered, just barely. He asked me to stay up with him that night. I was tired. I said we'd talk in the morning. I woke up and he was gone. I sat beside him. You're not the reason he left, Ren. He said it himself. His fingers clenched the fabric of the blanket. It doesn't feel like that. I looked down at our hands, both of them resting on the edge of the bed, not quite touching. Then I reached over and laced my fingers with his. He didn't pull away. You're allowed to feel broken, I said, but you're not allowed to carry all of it alone. He laughed, but it sounded tired. Why do you say things like that? Because you never say them first. That made him glance at me, and in his eyes was something raw and unguarded. Like he dropped every defense for 1 second and let me see the whole truth. I don't know what this is, he admitted. Me neither. But I think about you. A lot. Even when I don't want to. Even when it's easier not to. I smiled. I think that's kind of the point. He looked at our joined hands and didn't say anything more. But he didn't let go. That night, Kazuki was quieter than usual. He didn't joke. Didn't smirk. Just sat on the floor with his back to the wall, headphones in, eyes distant. I handed him a drink and sat beside him. "Thanks," he murmured. "You okay?" He shrugged. "I thought I'd feel better after giving you that letter. Closure, or whatever. And—" He looked at me, his expression more serious than I'd ever seen. "And I realized I don't have any right to stand in the way." "You never did." He laughed softly. "Still hurts, though." I bumped his shoulder with mine. "You'll find someone better than both of us." He gave me a small, crooked smile. "I don't want someone better. I just wanted someone to stay." "You deserve that." He nodded, slow and tired. "So does he." He didn't need to say Ren's name. I already knew. Ren didn't sleep much that week. Not because of nightmares this time, but because he was thinking. I could tell. He'd stare at the ceiling like it owed him answers, eyes wide and unblinking. He'd fiddle with his phone, scroll through music, then close it without playing anything. Eventually, I rolled over and poked his side. "Hey! You're doing it again." "Doing what?" "Thinking so loudly I can't sleep." He turned his head. "Sorry. You know what would help?" "What?" "Talking. Like normal people do." He hesitated. "Define normal." I smiled. "Okay. Like us people." He rolled onto his side, propped his head up with his hand. "Can I ask you something kind of stupid?" "Only if I can give a kind of stupid answer." He stared at me for a beat. "Why do you stay? Even after everything?" "Because I like how quiet it feels when I'm next to you," I said. "Even if you never say anything, it's the safest quiet I've ever known." He blinked. Just once. And then, quietly, "I like you." I stared. Then, "Was that your kind of stupid question?" He chuckled. "Maybe." I shifted closer, heart pounding. "Well, I kind of like you too." "Kind of." "A lot." His hand found mine again. Every time it felt new. "I don't know how to do this right," he said, eyes soft. "You don't have to be perfect," I replied. "You just have to be here." He always had been, in his own flawed, silent way. And I wasn't going anywhere. A few days later, Kazuki left our room with his transfer request approved. We helped him carry his bags down the hall. He didn't make it a big thing, just gave me a side hug and a nod at Run. "Take care of each other," he said. Run nodded. "You too." Kazuki walked away without looking back. When we got back to the room, it felt bigger, emptier, quieter. Ren collapsed on the bed, arms flung out. "Thank God." He talked in his sleep. "He sang in his sleep," I corrected, laughing. Run reached up and tugged me down onto the mattress beside him. "You're not allowed to leave like that." "Like what?" "Without warning." "I wasn't planning to." "Good," he said. "Because I'd just chase after you." I didn't answer right away. I was too busy smiling into the crook of his neck. He pulled the blanket over both of us and whispered, "This still counts as sleeping for safety, by the way." I nudged him. "Liar." He smirked. "You love it." And honestly, I did. We were almost normal now. Well, as normal as two boys secretly sharing a bed in a too-small dorm room with a history too heavy could be. Ren started doing this thing where he'd wait for me outside class, casually leaning against the wall like he wasn't trying to look cool. He'd walk me to the cafeteria, nudge my tray when I picked the same curry rice again, and steal the cherry from my fruit cup without asking. It was subtle, quiet affection. Nothing dramatic. No big confessions. But in the small gestures, the way he'd fix the hood on my jacket or how he'd kick my foot under the table just to make me look at him, I saw it. He cared. Maybe even more than he knew how to show. But love, I learned, doesn't cancel out hurt. It just makes it harder when things start to fall apart. It started on a Tuesday. Rain again. Always the rain. I was late to our dorm after club practice. Ren wasn't in the room, but something was off. His pillow was missing. His side of the bed, stripped bare. No blanket, no hoodie, nothing. I called his name. No answer. Then I saw it. He'd moved his things. Not out of the room but to the floor. His blanket was in the corner, next to his duffel. Folded neatly, like he planned to sleep there. I stood frozen in the doorway. "Ren?" He came in a second later, soaked and quiet. dropped his phone on the desk and didn't even look at me. You moved, I said. Yeah. Why? He grabbed a towel from his drawer. Felt like it. You said I couldn't sleep on the floor. But now it's different. How? He looked up then, tired and guarded. Because I don't trust myself anymore. My heart twisted. What are you talking about? Run ran a hand through his hair. You've seen everything. Every part of me. And I still don't know if I deserve to be this close to you. I stepped forward. Run, I want you close. He shook his head. You don't get it. Kay trusted me. He leaned on me. And I let him fall. That wasn't your fault. But it feels like it. He snapped, voice cracking. I swallowed hard. So what? You punish yourself by pushing people away? Is that supposed to help? He laughed bitterly. It's better than pretending I'm someone I'm not. I couldn't take it anymore. I crossed the room and grabbed his hand. You're not perfect. You're not even easy to love. But I chose you, Rin. I chose to stay. Don't take that away from me. He looked at me, eyes red-rimmed, expression raw. Then tell me you're not scared of me, he whispered. I'm not. Tell me you're not waiting for me to break again. I stepped closer, cupping his face. I'm not waiting for you to break. I'm waiting for you to finally believe someone loves you enough to stay. His eyes fluttered shut. Then softly, I'm scared I'll hurt you. You already have, I said, honest and gentle. But I'd still rather hurt beside you than be safe without you. He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for weeks. And in that moment, the space between us disappeared. Later that night, I woke up to the sound of footsteps. I turned, heart quickening. Ren wasn't in bed. I sat up. The blankets beside me were still warm. I looked around, empty. Then I saw the door slightly open. Panic shot through me. I raced down the hallway barefoot, not caring who saw. Something inside me knew he wasn't sleepwalking to the kitchen or the lounge. There was only one place he went when the ghosts got too loud. The pool. I ran faster. By the time I reached the side door that led to the courtyard, I spotted him. Standing by the edge of the water, arms wrapped around himself, staring at the surface like it might offer answers if he looked long enough. Ran! I shouted. He turned, startled. Don't! I said, breathless, voice shaking. Don't go near it. I wasn't going to jump, he said. But his voice wasn't convincing. I walked up to him slowly. Then what were you doing? I don't know, he whispered. I just wanted to feel close to him. And this is where they found him. Maybe if I stood here long enough, I'd understand why. I stood in front of him. You won't. He looked at me, eyes filled with all the things he never said. Why can't I let go? Because you never gave yourself permission. He closed his eyes. Then tell me how. I wrapped my arms around him, resting my head against his chest. Start with coming back inside. And sleep next to someone who still sees the good in you. He didn't answer, but his arms came around me like they were meant to be there. When we got back, he climbed into bed before me. No hesitation this time. No hesitation at all. I joined him, and he immediately pulled me in. Head tucked under my chin, hand resting over my heart like he was trying to feel every beat. I'm sorry, he whispered. I know. He shifted closer. I think I'm in love with you. I didn't speak. I didn't have to, because my arms tightened around him, and his next breath shook. And in the quiet that followed, I knew we were finally, facing the same direction. It felt different waking up next to him this time. Not like an accident. Not like a mistake. Not something we'd avoid talking about later. Run was still asleep, arms slung over my waist, his face half buried in the pillow. The light from the window spilled across the room, catching in the strands of his hair. He looked peaceful, like the weight he'd carried for so long had finally slipped off his shoulders sometime during the night. I wanted to let him sleep forever. But of course, his first words when he stirred were, "You're staring." Maybe, I said, pretending to roll my eyes. Kind of creepy. Kind of worth it. He smirked without opening his eyes. You're getting bolder. You started it. He blinked, slowly waking up, voice still rough with sleep. Yeah, well, I told you. I think I'm in love with you. Think? I raised an eyebrow. He reached up, brushing a hand through my hair. Fine. I am. Good? I said, lips twitching. Because you're stuck with me. He pulled the blanket over both of us again. Can't say I mind. That morning, the mood in the room had shifted. Everything felt lighter, as if someone had turned the gravity down a bit. Ren actually hummed while brushing his teeth, and I caught myself smiling like an idiot while watching him argue with the kettle because it wouldn't boil fast enough. Okay, he said, over his shoulder. We need to rearrange the room. Why? Because it still feels like a dorm room, and now, it's our room. I blinked. That was the cheesiest thing you've ever said. Yeah, well, deal with it. We spent the afternoon moving things around. He let me put up my posters. I let him take over the windowsill with his plants. We took turns picking which things stayed and which things we boxed up. Like the cracked mug Ren had kept for aesthetic, or my broken lamp that only worked when you kicked it twice. At one point, we found a box I didn't recognize. Inside were the last few things Ren had saved from the past. A necklace, a dried flower, a photo, one I hadn't seen before. Him and Kay, smiling. Ren picked it up, quiet for a second. Then he put it down gently in the box and closed the lid. I think it's okay to let this go now, he said. I touched his hand. You don't have to forget him. I won't, he said. But I don't want to keep living like I'm still stuck in that room. This one's ours now. Not his. We looked around. Same walls. Same floor. But it didn't feel haunted anymore. Felt like a beginning. Later that evening, Tomo barged into our room with a snack bag in one hand and a notebook in the other. I knew it, he said, pointing at us accusingly. Knew what? Ren asked, calmly biting into an energy bar. That you two were finally acting like you've been married for 10 years. Took long enough. I blushed. We're not. Oh, please, Tomo snorted. I've seen less couple energy in rom-coms. Anyway, I need to borrow your bed. Ren and I both stared. For what? Ren said flatly. To take a nap. This is the coziest bed on the whole floor. Ren gestured. The floor's right there. I hate both of you, Tomo said, and left dramatically. As soon as the door closed, I laughed. Should we start charging for naps? Only if we use the money to buy better pillows, Ren said. Your side still feels like sandpaper. I shoved him with a grin. He caught my hand mid-push and didn't let go. I'm glad you moved in, he said suddenly, voice soft. I didn't have much choice, remember? Room mix-up. Still, he said, maybe the universe got it right for once. I looked down at our hands. Maybe it did. That night we lay in bed, our bed, listening to the rain again. But this time it didn't sound sad. It sounded steady, safe. Ren pulled me close, chin resting on my head. You're still not sleeping, he murmured. I'm thinking. Dangerous. Shut up. He laughed quietly, then whispered. Can I tell you something without you making it a whole thing? Promise nothing. I like waking up next to you. My heart did this quiet flip, like it had been waiting to hear that exact thing. I like falling asleep next to you, I said. So I guess we're even. He pressed a kiss to the top of my head, quick, almost shy. And just like that, the ghost of the past, the pain, the fear, it all felt a little further away. We weren't perfect. We still had things to figure out. But we were here, together. And for the first time in a long time, that was more than enough.